Hi, Runway Riot. I'm Emmicia Bracey, and this is my body, my story. My body's my story, and that's very personal. My body will always be my own, no matter what it looks like, but I think that my own criticism of it, or my own acceptance of it, or my own love of it is nothing but my own. It was great. They have a great team. It was nice to feel like a model. My friend and I always joke that we're basically gonna become the next Gigi and Bella. So I felt like I was getting my Gigi moment. But it was great. It was, it's always nerve-wracking because no one takes a picture of you the way you take a picture of you. In my own selfies, I feel great because, I'm taking 20 pictures and then I'm going to post the one that looks the best. Whereas when you're taking photos for someone else, they're taking 30 pictures and they're going to post the picture of you that they think is the best. And how you see yourself and how others see you are totally different, I've come to realize. There are pictures of me that I think are terrible, the most awful pictures in the world, and people will say, oh my God, you look so beautiful. And I'm like, I physically do not know what photo you're looking at. So I think it's just kind of overcoming that complex of, gosh, I feel like I look so terrible in that, and just maybe accepting people's feedback at face value. I will always have some level of self-doubt. I think part of that is being bigger, and I think part of that is just generally being a woman, that I think that sometimes we live in a place of self-doubt, but we just have to actively work to overcome it. So I think I'm getting there. I think that I'm very positive about my body. I think my body is just a vessel for here, but I also want it to be in the best condition that it can be in. There are people out there who are plus size and they run and they lift weights and they're doing amazing things and they are the epitome of healthy, and I don't feel like one of those people. I love my breasts. I love my face. I love my arms. I love most of my body. I just, I want it to feel like we're doing the best we can. Sometimes I wake up and I look in the mirror and I'm like, this is so funny that I don't necessarily imagine myself looking like this. I'm not defeated by that or unhappy by that. It's just a general feeling of like, oh, that's so funny that this is what I look like. So yeah, sometimes I feel slightly detached from my body. I feel like my thoughts don't match up. If I feel like there's physically something I want to do and maybe I'm not able to do it, I'm upset. I'm like, why aren't we in line? So I think that sometimes I do refer to my body as a third party, as just for that very reason of, kind of feeling detached. I think taking up space is the biggest thing. I was on a plane to, maybe it was somewhere in Europe. I can't remember where it was. So it was a long flight. It was like an 8 to 10 hour flight. And I had booked my flight last minute. I was going for work. And I got stuck with a middle seat, which is like worst case scenario for anything. You have to go in a middle seat. It's traumatizing, So this guy sits down and he man spreads. So he's got his arms spread, he's got his legs spread, and I'm again trying to make myself as small as possible. And I was like, you know what? If this is what this guy wants, if it's gonna cause me less mental anguish, I'm fine. And then he starts huffing, and then he starts jabbing his arms into me and jabbing his legs. And I think even my body language is reacting to the story. He starts, obviously he's very upset that he has to sit next to me as a person. And the guy on the other side of me was very nice. He had the armrests lifted and we were fine. And I started crying. Not profusely crying, but tears. And because you're upset with yourself at that moment, you're upset with, why did I get this seat? Why did I not book my flight? Why am I this person? Why is this happening to me in this moment? So I asked him to move, and I cried to the flight attendant, and she relocated me to a wonderful seat. Do I wish I could take back the 45 minutes I had to sit next to that man, and the time I spent crying, and the feeling that I had of having to make myself feel smaller than I am? Yes. Physically, it feels like being tied in a knot, and it feels exhausting. It feels both exhausting physically and mentally, because you go through, when you're in that moment, or at least for me, when I'm in that moment, I go through every single thing in my life that has led up to that point, like, oh, why did I gain weight? Why haven't I lost weight? Why am I in this situation, you know? And it's not like that for everybody, but for me, that's my own mental thought process. So it's, you know, it's exhausting. The most amusing thing is when Eloquy puts out a photo or an ad somewhere, especially on Facebook, and there's a spot for comments. Because sometimes it's so funny to see how we can have so much, we can put so much energy towards what other people look like, even other plus people. You know, if I'm out there and I'm in a dress that's a crew neck style, or that's, you know, maybe not completely fitted at the waist, there's going to be at least 4 people who are like, oh my God, that looks awful on her. Why would you dress her in that way? She looks like an egg. There's one picture of me in a red dress, and a woman commented that I looked like a picture of Kool-Aid. And I just thought, this is so negative coming from someone who's also plus, and you're on this site looking for clothes just like me. Why do we always want to see people wearing the same thing? Why would I always have to wear some fit and flare dress just to show off the smallest part of my waist? If I want to walk around in a bag-shaped dress and a pair of Adidas and a cute bag and look like every other skinny girl walking around here, why can't I do that? Why do I have to live my life so concerned about what every piece of clothing looks like on my body? I don't have time for that. I don't have energy for that. I've always been heavier. So I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. But, you know, it's always been hard. There's always been kids, there have always been adults who feel like they have some type of agency over your body, who feel like they can come up to you and tell you, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You'd be even more radiant if you lost weight. So, you know, elementary school, middle school were really hard because, God, just people are the worst sometimes. They just, you know, and you know in your mind that this is your body is not the definition of you as a person, but when you're that age and your brain is not fully formed, you cannot make those distinctions. Your body is you and you are your body. And if anyone disagrees with your body, or if anyone thinks negatively of your body, then that's a reflection of you. Then that is how the world sees you. If there's 2 kids in school that have really awful things to say about you, then that's how the rest of the world sees you. So, you know, I envy people that went through middle school without any issues, because I feel like that takes your life in a different trajectory. Whereas if you went through middle school with those issues, you know, it's still hard to get over them. You still like, even now getting upset, you know, you still think about those things. The here and now takes me away from those thoughts so fast, because I feel like I am in such a good place emotionally that like so many great things have happened to me, you know, probably since high school, really. You know, and there have been bad things. There have been people who've said rude things on the way, but, you know, it's living through the fear. And once you can live through the fear of ridicule, or live through the fear of people, you know, wanting to have some say over your body, and you wanting to disagree with them and realizing that you can, then you can go on to make better decisions. So I think that's a lot of it, is, you know, looking back on that, being like, oh my gosh, it's those awful things that happened in middle school that have given me a great sense of humor. It's those things in middle school that have made me fearless. It's those, not fearful, less fearful. It's those people in middle school that have made me understand that I can do so many things, not just in spite of how I look, but maybe because of how I look. You know, so it's just, you know, understanding that it's all temporary. You know, you're where you are now. If it's good, there might be a great place across the bend. If where you are is terrible, it might keep being terrible for a little bit, but then maybe you'll get to a place where you're like, God, that one place that was terrible is the reason that I'm here now.